If Cape Town is your chosen holiday destination this year, then this is for you. Reports suggest the water quality at a number of beaches there is poor. Professor Petrik from the University of the Western Cape's Department of Chemistry shared some details with us.
The indication is also only given after the event, because remember, you have to culture those samples to get the actual reading. So that is not a live reading. It's always a couple of days late, which is quite concerning. And it's also not done every day. It's done at most once a week, but generally twice a week. So twice a month, sorry. So there's quite a lot of times where there is no information available for people that are going to swim. So it's a bit like playing Russian roulette. Yeah. You take your chances.
And Prof, I'm going to get to how widespread is this in just a moment, but I want to stay with what you're saying because it's quite concerning. If there's no sufficient warning, then people go in and they don't know what the water quality would be, and then they can know retrospectively. That's quite dangerous. It means there are no early warning systems at all.
No, there's no early warning system. The only thing that one could rely on is looking at the water and using your nose, because your nose is obviously a very sensitive organ and it can tell you when you're smelling sewage. So if you're smelling anything that remotely smells like sewage, you shouldn't be swimming there. But unfortunately, bacteria don't make a smell necessarily, and the water can look quite clear and yet still have quite a lot of bacteria in it. And the problem is basically that we're pumping sewage out to sea through the marine outfalls, which, when the weather is right, pushes back to shore. And then quite a few of our wastewater treatment plants, just as in the rest of the country, are in a pretty bad state and are releasing untreated or poorly treated effluent through them down our rivers and into our estuaries. So it's certainly very concerning to me that, for instance, at Milnerton, people will swim at Lagoon Beach when the Potsdam wastewater treatment plant is almost completely non-functioning.
Sure. And how widespread then is this problem? How many, tidal pools, beaches, would you say, are impacted?
Well, the city measures about 70 plus places around the coast. And the beaches that they have indicated are in good quality at the moment are probably relatively safe to swim at. But, the conditions can change depending on the weather and the way the wind blows and the way the current pushes the pollution. So if you look at the tables, if you see any beach that has got a greater than 150 for the bacterial counts, I would avoid that beach, because that means that there is periodically a current that sweeps pollution past that beach.
And Camps Bay is quite a popular spot. How's the water there?
Well, Camps Bay has, of course, got the marine outfall. And the marine outfall is actually only 700 meters away from the one side of Camps Bay. And certainly when we've tested the water there, we have found contamination. And one needs to also realize that sometimes the swash water, which is the stretch of the beach where the sea of the waves break and the kids play in, that area is often more contaminated than the open sea, because the bacteria accumulate in that area and little kids can actually get sick from that. So I personally wouldn't go and swim at Camps Bay. I mean, other people might think it's relatively safe. They do have blue flag status over November and December and January, a short period. And the blue flag status is conferred by WESA. But the thing with WESA is that there are quite a few criteria that don't relate to bacterial contamination that allow the blue flag status to be maintained. So also their testing is infrequent. So I don't think blue flag status is even something to go by.
Sure. listening to what you're saying, then it's a worrying picture. And the city, when you read some of the stories, they're saying that in some of the reports that members of the public must not fall for what they call baseless misinformation about their coastal water quality. And they say this is not backed up by scientific evidence. But I'm listening to what you're saying. It's a worrying picture. So how do you respond to what they say?
Well, the city is obviously not wanting to scare the tourists off. And I can't contest that they are producing evidence that they say shows that the beaches are clean. But as I've just said, the tests are only taken once every 2 weeks, maybe a bit more frequently, but I don't think more frequently. And they're always retrospective. So you don't actually know what the water quality is like when you're at the beach. If you look at the averages over the whole year, you can actually see the general quality is not so great. And the other thing is, of course, that one needs to see exactly how the city has taken these tests, because there are many ways that results might be not quite what they should be, depending on the chain of custody and when the sampling was done and how long the sample took to get to the lab, etc. So, it's good as we've got. The city is trying its best and is being transparent about the problem. But I think everybody needs to realize that in South Africa, our sanitation is busy breaking down. And the Western Cape is no different from the rest of the country in the sense that the amount of funding that they get to maintain the facilities is not sufficient for the growing population. And all our wastewater treatment plants need upgrading, and quite a few of them are not functioning optimally. So just as in Durban, they've had numerous sewage spills, we've had numerous sewage spills around our coast. You just need to go and hear about the Trappies sewerage line that is busy breaking down Somerset Westway and the way that that's been impacting that beach. And the mess that's on Lagoon Beach, there is a real problem in our city and in our cities countrywide. There was recently the Green Drop report that came out and showed how many of our wastewater treatment plants are not functioning.